All right, family, how y'all all doing? I know it's the holidays. Those of you who celebrate this are with your family, and I can completely understand that. And it's great that you can take your time out to listen to what I have to say. I recorded this on the 21st of October, 2025. Not to so much get it out of the way, but because I thought for months about what I'm going to say concerning my 2026 message. Before I do, I'm going to give only one shout out, and it is to my backup channel, The Evergreen Wave. I had explicitly told people who've been watching me for a while that if you want to see anything pertaining to my soap business, that's going to be the default in the future, and I still mean that, okay? Anything, see, right now on my flagship channel here, you all can see some of the soap I made after the fact, but you haven't physically seen tutorials. This was recorded on Camtasia, but I can't guarantee that I won't use a new software for my new videos. And the reason being is because Camtasia has a tendency to crash a lot. This is a simple system to learn, but it's also one that's very complicated in the sense that it crashes too fast. The point is that I didn't put nearly as much emphasis in the Evergreen Wave as I had this channel. So this channel's history, community, events, you'll still see me buying soaps. You'll still hear me talking about community. I'll do more history stuff because I know Mr. Burns asked for that. I dropped the ball big time in 2025 in comparison to 2024. So I'll do my best to do more history, okay? The Evergreen Wave is where you're going to see me physically video myself making soap and talking more about business like the 9 to 5 and discussing investing once I watch some videos Mr. Burns has sent me and things like that. So that's the only shout out I can give because I want to keep this as short as possible because I got 10 points to get to. And these are the things you're going to have to do in 2026 to align yourself with this new age that we're going into, because in essence, we are going into a new age. So I hope the video compilation in the beginning was entertaining and gives you a good idea of what we're going to discuss. I'm going to make 10 points. It's up to you whether you want to take these 10 points and what you're going to do from 2026 onward. All right. Thank you for tuning in. And let's get to our regularly scheduled program. Number 10. This is an obvious one. Cash is king. What I mean is, for all this digital stuff they're telling y'all, please stash cash away. And when you're doing it, please don't get on this whole internet and tell people how you're doing it. I'm not going to even tell people how I am and the mechanisms I'm going to use. Obviously, you all know you can't go to a bank and completely clean out your account, although that is your money. Once you've signed up for a bank or credit union account, you can't just go and clean out your entire account. So what I recommend is what money you can put away, what little you have that you can and can stash it in a place. Even pennies, despite the fact that they quit making pennies, you're still going to need 1 cent, okay? Please put some money back for a rainy day, okay? Because that's what you're going to need to do in order to understand that some of these rural areas are not going to transition right away. Some of the events you all have seen me attend, for example, You'll be amazed at how many people have asked for cash and prefer you to have as much as exact change as possible. Why? Because right now that's still the safest currency to have. Not this digital stuff, but cash. I'm not discounting Bitcoin or any of that other crypto. I am telling you, I've been in areas well enough to know, even for something like a meal or gas, when you make a stop, a credit card is not always going to suffice, much less Venmo and all of these other pay apps. Stash some cash away. It doesn't have to be a lot. Don't tell people where and how you're stashing it, and move in a way that you don't make yourself a target. Number 9, where are you all gonna live? When I ask that question, what I mean is, where in the world are you going to go? Are you going to hunker down and stay in the United States and bear whatever's coming, which I would argue is the mark of the beast? Are you going to hunker down and get ready for how much worse it's going to get? Really, it's coming to the world, the mark, but I'm not going to get physically into that in this live too much. This was recorded as a live, so if you watch it back later, that'll be on you. If you stay in this country, please build yourself up through preparation. That's canning food, that is growing food, which I'll start in 2026. You'll also see that on this channel, me growing stuff and seeing what I could have learned and applying what I may have learned from Hook It Up Homestead, and see if I can plant some of the things that she's planted. If you're going to stay in the United States, either because you can't afford to leave or you just don't want to leave, have you a bug out bag. Be ready to hunker down, have some food grown just in case you're not going to use the bug out bag and leave your house. If you're going to move internationally, please have some printed currency, your important papers somewhere where they're hard to get to. If you can put them on the cloud or put them somewhere where you can encrypt them with a password and have hard copies. Please build a community, learn the language, and learn how the laws in those lands pertain to you. I don't like this divide online where some people are saying, well, one country or a few countries are the best countries in the world to go to when they all have their problems. Everything seems perfect until you get in trouble and you're not a citizen in that country. I'm not this gatekeeper that'll tell you you have to stay in the United States of America. And I'm not this gatekeeper to tell you to stay or go. You have to make that decision based on things going on in your life. I am telling you, whether you stay or whether you go, practice situational awareness and know just enough to stay low and stay out of trouble. 8 is physical fitness. There are ways now to do this without going to the gym. People are doing intentional walking to not go to gyms. Or if you have a gym membership, take advantage of that. This is the most important, because keeping yourself in physical shape most of the time will greatly reduce how much you have to pay to go to the doctor later on. Take care of it on the front end so that it doesn't get you on the back end. With the way medical is costing, particularly if you stay in the United States, your best recourse for fighting this is staying in shape. I know this firsthand, being a little overweight. I have quite a bit of weight to lose. I go to these events and I just can't resist. I need to learn to resist helping the small businesses with sugary sweets. Something I might need to cut back on in 2026, because Lord willing and I live that long, I'll be 46 years old in January. Lord willing and allows me to make it to the 16th of January. This is one of the more important ones because if you have to bug out, no one's coming to save you, and you're going to need the physical strength to be able to move when things get terrible. So you need to work out, take care of yourself. However you do it, it can just be squats. It doesn't have to be anything sweating, anything that's physically gonna build you up to where you can move if you are capable of doing so. I've seen those little machines where some older people use now where they sit down and they work their feet, anything to get you circulation, anything that's going to cause you to have to get some kind of hydration, sports hydration. Get to that. Number 7, bartering. If you have a neighbor, if you have co-workers, yes, because this happened to me in 2025, where a co-worker gave me a zucchini and she gave me some baby tomatoes, and in exchange I gave her apples off of my tree. I'm proud of myself because I never thought I would actually do that. And rather, without y'all were just sharing, I still see it as a form of bartering because she already has a garden that she keeps up. And she's also my inspiration. So learning how to exchange things because a neighbor may have something you need. And even if you don't do it with your neighbor, like I said, co-workers, friends, relatives, get together and barter so that you can do exchanges and know who you can and can't trust. I come up with the bartering one simply because everybody don't have food banks close enough to them, but still know somebody down the road who has a garden. And with what happened with food stamps this year, I don't know how it resolved itself by this recording, which again was 21 October 2025. I got ahead in it. I don't yet know how that affected society, but I know it was already having some negative effects before November even hit. So you're going to have to hunker down, find someone you can try and build trust with because that trust has to be there for you to barter. And bartering can also be considered sharing where you exchange things every now and again. It doesn't have to be something you do every day, every week, every month. You can set predetermined times based on seasons, or you can just do it based on when you feel like you need something and you can give something back. That reciprocity is going to be real important in this season. Number 6, develop skills. This can take on a myriad of things, including learning AI, but it can also be learning how to make things you would normally buy. That's what I mean by this step. When I say develop skills, for example, because I've been watching Brandon of Palm Beach and some other channels, I'm learning how to make budget meals at home to eat out less. That's going to be your new normal in 2026. Eating out is going to go back to the 1950s and back. We're going to a nice restaurant. If you are not rich, it's going to be a luxury. It's not going to be a guarantee. So if you're middle class and lower class, you need to prepare yourself for the fact that even things like ordering a pizza out will have to be a treat. It's not something you can have like you did. We're now moving in a time of lean and moving away from a time of fat and access. Okay? I would say excess, not access. But access could and excess could both work in this case. Even if it means learning to start a fire, learning to chop wood, I'm talking about the rudimentary stuff here. I've known how to make my own soap for years, so I can have a couple of years worth of soap easily, and now I'm gonna sell it. Now I'm learning how to bake from scratch, and I'll learn how to make how to can vegetables. I can can now, something I couldn't do previously. I always messed it up. This is the first year, 2025, I didn't mess it up. I know how to make soap. Sewing, I'm sorry, I'm going to pay somebody for that. If I learn to sew, I'm going to learn to quilt, and I may get with that quilting guild to learn that. Continue to add into your skills. Me, I thought I had to know everything. No, you don't. Just move at a slow pace. Pace yourself. And remember, when you're learning these skills, apply these skills according to uses. Obviously, I use my own soap that I make, and I'm also selling. Obviously, I'm canning jam because I also send it to my dad. I send it to Mississippi. I send it to Connecticut, so forth and so on. Therefore, there's a benefit to it. Don't develop skills that you know you're not going to use. Even simple stuff like you weren't good at doing your own nails, you learn that at home. You weren't good at doing your own hair, you do that at home. You learn you like a certain type of foreign cuisine like sushi or something, you learn that at home. The electricity goes out, you know how to build a little mini fridge thing. I've seen survivalists do this on your property. You learn how to hunt. The practical rudimentary stuff is what I mean by this step. Number 5, historical comparisons. This is the one that's going to make you all the most mad. There's a lady on here who passed away more than a decade ago now, Depression era cooking, that lived in the Great Depression. And she could make almost from memory recipes from the Great Depression when she was a young girl. And history repeats itself, right? So my advice to you is to start to look at what's been happening in all of 2025, because a lot of rapid change has been happening. Look to the Industrial Revolution, look to the Gilded, what we call the Gilded Age, or in Great Britain, the Victorian Age. Look to some historical comparison according to your life that can tell you what is going on right now, or look at it at a macro level to see how these things have happened in the past, and how what you can take control of in your present life. Historical comparison. See, the thing is that outside of me, lots of people didn't like history in school. History's beautiful because it's consistent and it lets you know that the patterns that have been repeated in the past are coming back. Each of you are going to notice something. If you can, right now while we're in the live, you can put that in the chat what you think historical comparisons play into this. I know the Gilded Age and the robber barons definitely have a significance, because once we went into that part of history, the United States was never the same. People just kept getting wealthier. Some families fell off, like the Vanderbilts and the Astors, who are more land rich than they are cash rich now. And the Vanderbilts had to sell off a lot of their legacy and even rent out the Biltmore as a hotel. But some people from that same era just keep getting richer and richer and richer. And that's even the ones across the pond. Number 4, go out and study all of the water resources around you. And by this, I mean fresh water. Wherever you can, know where fresh water may be in case you run out. Get you some type of water filtration. This is something even I have to do because I only got a Brita filter, and that's not going to be enough for high-end filtration. Have some way to filter and clean water. There's a multitude of ways to do this. So be sure that you get to it, and that you understand that water for bathing, water for brushing your teeth, washing your face, cooking with. Be aware of where you can get fresh water at all times. This includes also stocking up as much as possible. When you run out, replenish it with more just in case. I would say right now, if you're smart, you need a month's worth of water in case the grid go down or something happen. Because when those things happen, they're not going to fix themselves in a week based on where we are right now. You need to know your fresh water sources. Okay. Number 3 is gonna be obvious by now. Niccolo Machiavelli's The Prince is an indication of where we are. A book that was written 500 years ago can explain what's going on now. Sun Tzu's The Art of War. George Orwell's 1984, which I have here somewhere and I need to read. I've already read Animal Farm this year, and man, Animal Farm is like eye-opening. See, the thing is, when you digitize a book, you can make it disappear, and you can also make it seem as if it never existed. You need to get hard copies of books that are going to pertain to your life and that teaches you history's lessons. If you haven't started buying hard copies of books, and the further you can go back, the better. Even dictionaries, they're manipulating those now. Go back as far as you can and have the hard copies of books, okay, that sit on your shelf. Not just because they're going to eventually ban them, because that is coming whether you know or not. Because when the grid goes down and you only have candles or your fireplace for a light and flashlights, you can at least entertain yourself. That's how I plan to do it. Now, some of y'all might have a puzzle book with pen and paper, and you can sit there and do that for hours. That's my husband's thing. He has a lot of puzzle books, so he'll probably do that and hunker down with a hot, fresh cup of coffee or something. Me, I'll have my herbal tea and all of my history books and all of my fiction books, and first and foremost, that Holy Bible. I feel like by 2030, if you don't have hard copies of certain books, those books are going to disappear for good. And then it's going to be too late for you to get a copy of it as evidence that it ever existed. The farther back you can go with that book, instead of its modern version, especially the Bible, they've massacred that, the better off you'll be. Number 2. This one is a hard one for me. AI is applicable to you. 2025 was the year that I was supposed to get a certification, but I didn't. 2026 for sure. I'm going to have to disappear at some point in the spring and dedicate myself to getting some AI certification, because that type of technology intimidates me. But I know it's something nonetheless that I have to do. It's just not something that I feel sexy and feel like I want to do. Some of y'all already know you use what's called CapCut, have no clue how to use that. And when people try to explain it, it's like talking a foreign language to me. It's like an alien came down trying to teach me its language. It's like my face drops because AI is just too hard. The bad news is not knowing even a little bit by 2030 is going to hurt me. So I may as well get a head start, and so should all of you. I used ChatGPT for the first time this year. That's a bit gnarly. I think also learning to use AI tools, you can learn that for your different businesses and things like that. Make the effort to learn AI. All right, y'all, we're coming up on the number 1. Okay. The meat and potatoes of this thing. And I know y'all know what the number 1 is if you know me well enough. Come on now, y'all know me. And you knew what the number 1 step was going to be. The obvious one. Community. I've been very touched by people who have been helping hungry people in 2025. Their generosity and kindness, and watching the different food banks who've made declarations of helping people whenever they can and feeding the maximum amount of mouths. That's the American way. Us coming to help each other. Because there was a time when these banks didn't exist, these food banks. And neither did SNAP or WIC or any of those things. You bartered from your neighbors, or it was just hard scrap. And you learned to do with what little you had. Community has its ups and downs, though. I predict it's going to get selfish out here, but I don't think it's all selfish, and this is what I mean. It's okay to build communities online, but you still need to go meet with people who are close to you in case you want certain commodities that are closer for cheaper and things get bad. Because here's the thing, if people don't know you, they don't have to help you. But if you go offline and start to make some of these connections before things get bad, because what we're seeing right now is bad. This is the tip of just how bad it's going to get. I knew 2025 was going to be a bad year, and that's why I continued this whole year to push community. Because I knew it was going to get bad. So, here's the thing. Whatever things you don't want to do or you don't wish to do, someone in the community can help. For example, mending and sewing clothes so I can rewear. I don't have a desire to do that. That's why next year I'm going to go back to the Sew and Grow and then get more resources. There was a resource group that I accidentally threw out there, pamphlet that I'll need, that I can go to for sewing and mending, and in return I'm going to give them lots of free soap. I forgot the name of the group, so don't ask me. There are plenty of things I'm going to go to next year. Oops, excuse the burp, y'all. Probably acid reflux. Community-wise, I'm going to go back to the quilt show if the fairgrounds has it in 2026. Why? Because I need to know more about the quilt guild in order to learn to make quilts to keep my family warm and to keep my household warm with more blankets. Who knows, I may make one for my dad, then get a big ginormous shipping box and send it to Alabama. But I'm going to continue to add to my skills, and sometimes adding to your skills means finding someone in your local community who can teach you that particular skill. Who knows, that's those skills and the stuff you learn from the community can become a side hustle. I'm appealing to you all to not make your whole life about being online. You're gonna have to go out and make these relationships the old-fashioned way. Some things about this new society are gonna require tradition, whether you want to do it or not. If you needed to barter eggs right away, you're not going to tell somebody you met in France to send you eggs, but you can get it from someone down the street that you've made connections with who may have chickens. Hope this makes sense. Okay? And so forth and so on. Some things you have to get from overseas. For example, I may not necessarily find someone in my local community that sells shea butter at a reasonable price. Therefore, I still have to get online and still build those relationships. I can, however, find plenty of soapers in my general area that put shea butter in their soap. That way, if I run out, which is extremely unlikely unless Africa gets completely closed off from the rest of the world, I would need to go buy shea butter soaps from them as well. This is your normal right now. You're going to have to go back to a normal before the internet. While I spoke about AI in step 2, community means you're going to have to physically go out and meet and make these relationships. Even something as simple as art, like me going the ways goose, which I'm going to do that again in 2026, the Lord willing, and He allows me to live to do it. Pardon my dishwasher. I start this thing every single time I'm making a video. At least I fed Sugar, but she could get up and start meowing. And speaking of, get your pets in order too, but because that's part of community as well. People don't have to help you if they don't know you. And they can't know you if you hide in the corner and don't allow them to. And this is coming from me, a person who was an extreme introvert for years. The way you see me out filming people outside of those two Karens, one out in Seabeck and one out in Port Townsend, all in all, I had a good time with most people. You're going to have to go beyond your horizons, even if it's a county over, 2, 3 counties over, and make those relationships offline. That is the only way you can reconcile. That's one of the ways you can reconcile with what's coming. Everything you do won't be online. Some things you're going to immediately need, and only your community can offer that. This is inconvenient for people who want to put on certain glasses and disappear into an alternate universe. You can't do that forever. You're human. And some needs you have are going to require you to get off the computer, get off your butt, and go do what you got to do. Those are my 10 things. And you know, community shouldn't have shocked y'all at all. Y'all have heard the phrase, right? The devil you know is better than the one you don't. I won't say I've always loved that phrase. I've always appreciated it. Because the devil you know, figuratively, not the literal one that's going to bring the mark, but figuratively, okay, which can also play in the literal. The devil you know are the 10 things we just listed. Because see, the difference between the warnings I gave you in 2024, gloom and doom, vices now, is that you've seen too much evidence that when you tell yourself something's applicable to you, it isn't. Here's a dove, okay? I used this before in previous videos, and those of you who have been watching me for a while have seen the dove. If you remember in the book of Genesis, if you believe in the Bible the way I do, the dove was the one that got the olive branch for peace. I'm advocating for all of you who are listening to me right now is to find inner peace through not panicking. That's obvious, right? I don't do New Year's resolutions, but if I did, find peace through preparation. No one's coming to save you. Let's help each other. I will help people out who want to be helped as much as they can. And I've had to cut out people in the last 10 plus years who talk about wanting to do better than they actually would like to. No one's coming to save y'all. And I know you've seen the videos. Yeah, you say this. Y'all, with the cutting of benefits, with people being made homeless, with rents being too high, you should have learned in 2025 that no one cares about you the way you think they do. Some people do. Don't abuse and overuse the people that care about you. But find peace through as much preparation as you possibly can, so that you can be prepared for how much worse it's going to get. If you go look into 2030, it's not going to get any better. And I'm not saying this to scare you, because some people like to use thumbnails to scare people, what I call fearmonger capitalism, and then say, oh, but if you buy my program, you'll be guaranteed. There are no guarantees. in the natural world accept as much preparation as you can possibly get. I can't tell you exactly how to do it for your household, whether that's stay in the United States or go, whether it's bug out and get out of your area or stay. I'm staying because Washington has a high percentage of rain per year, one of the highest in the United States, and that makes my crops more robust. Will I be giving up avocados in the long term? Yes, I will. And I have a feeling that that's coming. Will they be a luxury and cost me more money when I get them? They probably will. State across next to me, California can grow them probably. I know they can't grow here. But unless something's drastic and it's a natural disaster, plan to hunker down. For some of you, it's not staying here. For some of you, it's learning AI. And for some of you, it's strengthening your relationships offline. Whatever y'all gotta do, it has to get done and starting in 2026. Or it has to have already started happening in 2025. Thank you all so much for staying and listening. I know this was a long one. And I know y'all get tired of these gloom and doom videos. I look forward to getting with y'all. I haven't done a live in a while. For those of y'all who are doing the playback, you don't have to say what you're gonna do in the comment section. Please get prepared for what's coming though, because it's not gonna be nice. And the very people who you think have your back probably won't. All right, thank y'all for listening. I'm going to let y'all go and enjoy your families. Y'all have a safe and blessed new year. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. I'm trying to stay off the roads. Take care. Be safe. See y'all in 2026, the Lord willing.